Ambassador Prime Zeke Valor of the Galactic Diplomatic Corps floated in his biosuspension pod aboard the neutral station Harmony's Rest, reviewing the first contact protocols for the fourth time that day. The arrival of a new species always required careful preparation, especially when that species had demonstrated the technological capability to achieve faster-than-light travel. "The humans have confirmed their attendance at the first contact assembly," reported his aide, Counselor Nick 7, her crystalline form shimmering with barely contained anxiety. However, their response to our diplomatic invitation was. Ambassador Zeke Valor's sensory tendrils twitched with curiosity. Unusual how? They didn't specify which diplomatic vessel they would be sending. In fact, they didn't mention diplomats at all. Their message simply stated, "Earth acknowledges invitation. The Peacekeeper will represent human interests." Arrival in 72 hours. The ambassador's bioluminescent patches flickered with concern. In 12,000 years of galactic diplomacy, species always announced their diplomatic corps, provided credentials for their ambassadors, and sent detailed information about their cultural representatives. The humans had provided none of this. Perhaps they're simply unfamiliar with standard protocols, Ambassador Zeke Valor mused. Many primitive species struggle with the complexities of interspecies diplomacy. 3 days later, the ambassador's optimism evaporated as sensors detected the approaching human vessel. Instead of the sleek, elegant diplomatic ship expected for such occasions, something altogether different emerged from hyperspace. The Peacekeeper was a monster. 15 kilometers long, bristling with weapon emplacements that defied easy categorization, the vessel moved through space with the predatory grace of something designed for one purpose: the systematic destruction of everything in its path. Armor plating covered its hull in overlapping layers, and energy readings suggested power cores that could supply entire star systems. "By the eternal light," whispered Defense Coordinator Thex Prime from the station's security center. "That's not a diplomatic vessel, that's a dreadnought." Ambassador Zeke Valor felt his biorhythms accelerating toward panic levels. Are they here to attack the assembly? Have we made some terrible mistake in our communications? The communication board lit up with urgent transmissions from the 47 species gathered for the first contact ceremony. Representatives from the Cytherian Empire, the Altarian Confederacy, and the Reptilian Republic were all demanding explanations. Several smaller delegations were preparing to evacuate. "Incoming transmission from the human vessel," Counselor Nick 7 reported, her voice tight with fear. A holographic figure materialized in the center of the diplomatic chamber, a tall, aging human male wearing what appeared to be a military uniform covered in decorations and insignia. His eyes held the cold competence of someone who had seen considerable combat. "Greetings," the figure said, in perfectly accented galactic standard. "I am Admiral Marcus Steele, commanding officer of the UES Peacekeeper. I serve as Earth's representative to this assembly." Ambassador Zeke Valor struggled to maintain diplomatic composure. "Admiral Steele, with respect, we were expecting diplomatic representatives, not military personnel." Admiral Steele's expression didn't change. "I am Earth's diplomatic representative, Ambassador. The Peacekeeper serves as our embassy." "Your embassy is a warship?" "Correct," Admiral Steele replied matter-of-factly. "Is there a problem with our vessel's configuration?" Behind the Admiral, through the bridge's viewports, the assembled diplomats could see crew members moving with military precision around stations that were clearly designed for combat operations. This was not a diplomatic ship with defensive capabilities. This was a weapon of war masquerading as an embassy. Defense Coordinator Thex Prime's voice crackled through the communication system. "Ambassador, I'm reading enough firepower on that vessel to sterilize entire star systems. Their main weapon appears to be some form of stellar engineering device." Admiral Steele overheard the transmission and nodded approvingly. The peacekeeper is equipped with the necessary tools to ensure that diplomatic negotiations proceed smoothly and without external interference. External interference? Ambassador Zek Valar asked weakly. Ambassador, we've studied galactic history extensively before making first contact. We're aware that 47 species have committed to attendance at this assembly. We're also aware that 12 of those species have a documented history of aggressive expansion, and at least 6 have been known to use diplomatic meetings as opportunities for intelligence gathering or even assassination attempts. The Admiral gestured to something off-screen, and tactical displays began appearing in the holographic transmission. They showed detailed breakdowns of every ship in the assembly, complete analyses of their weapon systems, defensive capabilities, and strategic vulnerabilities. We've also noted that this station, while officially neutral, maintains only minimal defensive systems. Any species with hostile intentions could easily overwhelm your security and eliminate multiple diplomatic delegations simultaneously. Ambassador Zeke Valar felt his worst fears crystallizing. Admiral, are you threatening the assembly? Quite the opposite, Admiral Steele replied, with what might have been a slight smile. The peacekeeper is here to ensure that this assembly proceeds exactly as advertised as a peaceful first contact ceremony. Any attempt to disrupt these proceedings, whether through military action, espionage, or diplomatic sabotage, will be met with immediate corrective measures. Counselor Nick Seven whispered urgently to the ambassador, "Sir, their targeting systems are active. They're tracking every ship in the assembly." "Correct," Admiral Steele acknowledged, apparently having overheard. "We want everyone to feel secure in the knowledge that their safety is guaranteed. No one here has anything to fear from the peacekeeper, as long as they're genuinely committed to peaceful diplomatic discourse." Ambassador Zeke Valar realized, with growing horror, that the humans hadn't sent a warship to threaten the assembly, they had sent a warship to protect it. From everyone, including each other. "Admiral," he managed to ask, "what exactly do you know about our assembled species?" "Everything," Admiral Steele replied simply. "The Cytherian Empire has been planning to use this meeting to assess human military capabilities for potential future conquest. The Sectar Collective brought prototype bioweapons they intended to test on human genetic samples. The Merchant Guild of Altair prepared falsified trade agreements designed to create economic dependence." With each revelation, Admiral Steele displayed evidence, intercepted communications, intelligence reports, and strategic analyses that should have been impossible for a newly contacted species to obtain. "How do you know all this?" Ambassador Zeke Valar whispered. "Because Ambassador, humanity didn't just achieve faster-than-light travel yesterday. We've been quietly observing galactic civilization for the past 50 years, learning your languages, studying your cultures, and most importantly, documenting your habits regarding newly contacted species." Admiral Steele leaned forward slightly. "We sent the peacekeeper because we want these negotiations to be genuinely productive. Every species here will negotiate in good faith, share accurate information, and respect agreed-upon protocols. Because if they don't," he gestured toward the massive weapon systems visible through the bridge windows. The ambassador realized that humanity had just redefined first-contact diplomacy. They hadn't come as supplicants seeking acceptance into galactic civilization. They had arrived as equals who intended to be treated as such. "Now then," Admiral Steele continued pleasantly, "shall we begin the formal ceremonies? I believe we have much to discuss."